I'm Aaron from PhoneDog.com, and you're a T-Mobile customer. You're eligible for an upgrade, and you're thinking, what in the world should I commit 2 more years to? I've got 2 options for you in my hands right now. The Samsung Galaxy S Blaze 4G is one of those, and it's available as of tomorrow, the 28th, for $149.99 nationwide at T-Mobile retail stores and online at T-Mobile.com. Now, this is packing a 1.5 gigahertz dual-core Snapdragon processor, a 3.97-inch Super AMOLED display, a 5-megapixel camera, and Android 2.3 with TouchWiz version 4.0. So pretty well equipped, given a $150 price point. Then you have the HTC Radar 4G over here, a mid-range Windows phone from T-Mobile with a 1 gigahertz Snapdragon processor, a 5-megapixel camera, a 3.8-inch display, and Windows Phone 7.5, and a nice kind of metal unibody form factor. Which one's the best? We'll find out in the dogfight, but first some love to Best Buy Mobile because they hook us up with a lot of phones like this for use in our One Paw Bandit giveaway game on the site, which you can win. When you walk into Best Buy Mobile, you'll walk out working. They'll help you set up your camera settings, your email, all that good stuff. So when you walk out the door, you're set up. You don't have to worry about importing your contacts or doing anything like that. At Best Buy Mobile, you're good to go. Let's see which one of these is the all-around must-have device. Obviously, with some different platforms come different personal information management. I think it's kind of cool to look at the differences between Android and Windows Phone. For example, we'll go into Contacts and take a look at how they both handle information. You can see Billy Bob is in both of these, which apparently I look like Billy Bob. What do you know? And then you can scroll over here and see what's new. So if I have a bunch of accounts set up, we can go into settings and take a look. For example, if I had a bunch of accounts set up like Twitter, Facebook, I could come back out here and see what's new, and you can see Facebook updates, Twitter updates. It's kind of an information management portal for you to see what's new and what's going on. So Billy Bob is here. I can take a look at this as well. So you can see the picture in the corner of both, and this is more of a simple interface, and you'll notice these large fonts up at the top. I just scroll from left to right and take a look at the history, so it'll show any text messages, and you have the same thing over here on Android as well. History with the interface, and you can see text messages, phone calls, things like that. And I can scroll over to activities and photos on the Android side with info, and then I can go up and down and see my notes as well, and then of course I have notes back here. Also, one particularly cool thing that I like about Windows Phone, again, you know, in addition to the fluidity and just how simple to use it is, you can take a look at, for example, T. I can click on that, and any of the highlighted letters, I can know that I have contacts in there. So, for example, I have a contact that starts with a B. I have a contact that starts with a J, or a T, or a P, or an R. But I don't with any of the ones that are grayed out. That's kind of a cool feature. I think that's kind of cool to look at and be like, oh, apparently I need some friends with Y names, or apparently I need some friends with D names. I think that's kind of a unique little feature that you see there. Now, obviously, both show the 4G indicators, but as I said in part 1, on Windows Phone, this is kind of a little pet peeve of mine. You can't get this notification area to stay at the top. You'll notice that it always disappears and leaves just the clock. So you can't always see what your battery life is, you can't always see what your signal strength is, and that's kind of an issue to me. But you've got your phone interface here, and you can see it opens up the history by default on Windows Phone, opens up the keypad rather over here. You got your island keys with some shortcuts down here, call, voicemail, messaging, and then your back button. Up here, logs, contacts, favorites, and then I can scroll over and see groups, and then down here I have these little buttons that correspond to voicemail, my dial pad, my contacts, and search. Now, if you're ever in an area on Windows Phone and you're like, I'm not quite sure what that button means, I can come down here, and it gives me a nice little text preview below it by hitting the little settings button, which is the 3 dots. Now, you've seen that before. It's an ice cream sandwich. It's something Google kind of brought over and probably got the idea, I'm just guessing, got the idea from Windows Phone. So that's a cool little feature there, and it's easy, you know, and again, it's all about simplicity over here. That said, the downside is sometimes it's a little bit too easy for its own good, and I think for people that enjoy using phones and enjoy taking the capabilities to the max, you may get tired with it after a while. If you're somebody like me that enjoys simplicity and ease of use because you work with phones for a lot, you know, 60, 70 hours a week, and you're like, hey, I just want something that's easy to use that I can get my email on, and I don't really want to hack or root or mod or anything like that in my off time, this may be a better device for you. You know, this or perhaps something else, or another Windows phone, perhaps the Lumia 900 or the 800, something like that. But you know, we're obviously comparing these T-Mobile to T-Mobile. So again, HSPA plus 42 megabits per second over here. HSPA plus 14.4 megabits. So both are capable of supporting 4G, as T-Mobile calls it, but you got a much faster theoretical peak over on the Blaze 4G than you do on the Radar. So PhoneDog's loading up on both of these. Ironically, it's loading a little faster over on the Radar 4G. And you're going to get great browsing experiences, honestly, with both of these devices, but more so with Windows Phone just because it doesn't run flash. You're not going to see any of those advertisements in the background or any videos or anything like that. And you can see the transition effects are nice and easy, and even though it takes a while, the transition effect there kind of throws your eye and makes it seem like it's a little bit faster than it actually is. So I love little effects like that. It seems to be a nice clean effect, and you can access additional tabs by going down and clicking on the settings button. Now down here we're still loading up, and it's taking its sweet time. Let's get this to load up, and you can see pinch to zoom even while the page is loading, very responsive. And you've got your typical TouchWiz settings down here just by clicking the menu button, the ability to go to a different window and open up a new browser window. So if I wanted to look at the news while I was waiting for this thing to load, I could easily do it. So pinch to zoom, very responsive, but again, take a look at the transition effects. A little bit more blocky, a little bit more choppy, so even though it does do it relatively quickly, I think that the interface makes it look a little bit better over on the Radar 4G. But again, that's for me personally. I find form to be a very nice thing on a device. Perhaps you don't care about that, but in terms of design and kind of aesthetic appeal of the platform, Windows Phone has done a fantastic job between the Metro UI tiles and more. But Android, particularly with TouchWiz 4.0 as a user interface, does a pretty good job. And both of these, again, are nice budget devices that should appeal to a lot of people on T-Mobile. Let's take a look at the cameras. 5 megapixel cameras on both of these devices. And we'll load these up, and I don't want to spend too much time. We're going to bring in the arch nemesis here just because I have one on my desk, because it's going down to the One Paw Bandit game where you can win it on PhoneDog.com. So we'll take a quick picture here, press to hold, and focus. And then over here, I love the camera setting on Windows Phone. I can press and hold the button on the side, take the picture, and I can take a bunch of pictures that way. And when I want to go back to the gallery, I just swipe back over like that. It's quick and easy, and you have your settings here. I can go into advanced settings and see those, and then I can easily switch between the front-facing camera and the video camera. Same thing over here, front-facing camera and video camera settings on the sides, and I have my settings down there. Picture-wise, honestly, it's about a wash, and I'll show you the pictures side by side so you can see what they look like. And I did not mean to do that, but you can see they're relatively a wash between these two. I think you're going to be happy with either one. Now, both shoot video at 720p, but in terms of the camera department, it's kind of a tie between these two devices. I also want to show you before we sign off Google Play, which is the new version for the Android market, or the new name rather for the Android market. It's called Play Store. Then I want to show you the Marketplace, and I kind of want to show you side by side so you can see the differences here. 70,000 apps in Windows Marketplace, 450,000, give or take a few, in the Google Play Store, and you can see the differences here. Easy access to HTC apps, regular apps. I can click on that, and I can scroll over and see new apps. I can see top apps. I can see featured apps, and more just by scrolling over. It's a little bit of a different interface over here, and it's loading up right now. Whereas you have the Google Play Store over here, you have apps, music, books, and movies, all in an easy organized, easy to find place, and that's why they changed the name. It was called Android Market, now it's called Google Play. It's intended to be a one-stop shop for everything you need, be it apps, music, or any sort of digital content, music, books, or movies. But apps are loading up right now, and you can see the difference here. I can go into let's say, we'll find one for example. We'll go to Angry Birds and just take a look at that, and I can go over here to Top Free, go to Angry Birds over here as well. It must be a big popular game today, because I think Draw Something was the top game a couple of days ago. So it looks like Angry Birds has dominated it again. So you can see the description here, screenshots or screen videos, what's new, reviews, and then more by the developer, whereas over here details and reviews are separated, and then you can scroll over to see the screenshots. It's a little bit more sectionalized over here, where it's all kind of on one space here with your download button, and then down here I can either try it or buy it. So both great devices. It's really going to depend on what you want. When you walk in, perhaps you're coming from iOS, Windows Phone might be a better choice for you. If you're coming from iOS and you're like, man, I really want those widgets that all my friends have on their Droid phones, and I would hope you wouldn't say Droid, I would hope you'd say Android, but still, if you don't, you may say Droid, that's going to be a good device for you as well. The Blaze 4G is the winner of the Dogfight, and the reason why, dual-core processor, and this thing is just a killer for the price point. $150, you get some nice things on this bad boy. You get a dual-core processor, you get a Super AMOLED display. Feature-wise, this is the better device. Super AMOLED display, same 5-megapixel camera, but a decent body. Now this one, where it wins, simplicity, and much like the iPhone, simplicity, beauty here in terms of the build quality, and then it has some nice features as well, 5-megapixel camera, and it's just easy to use and very fluid. But by a narrow margin, the Blaze 4G is the one that wins the dogfight. Much more coverage to come on PhoneDog.com with both of these devices, so keep it locked on the site, and be sure to check out our rankings program. If you have one of these phones, head over to PhoneDog.com/rankings, vote for your favorite phone and PhoneDog's official smartphone rankings, and cast your review. Let me know what you think. You love it, you hate it, there are things you like, things you don't like. let me know. PhoneDog.com/rankings. Be sure to follow me on Twitter as well, PhoneDog_Aaron, and on Facebook at Facebook.com/PhoneDogAB. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments below on the site and on Twitter. We'll see you next time.